Okay, so next question I had for you, which is kind of interesting. If you can only do one arm wrestling exercise, only one, leading up to a big event, you have 6 months, what arm wrestling exercise would that be? And take into consideration, no other no other arm wrestling or non-arm wrestling exercises can be done. Only this, and you're leading up to a big super match.
Neutral grip chin-ups.
Wow. Full motion or static? Oh,
Static.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, with your move, I can see that. You want a strong lat, strong locking setup.
You have to have a compound movement. You cannot do isolated movement at all. It has to be something compound.
Yeah, if you were going to say wrist curls, man, we were going to have at it pretty hard.
Well, I mean, you can have your wrist all you want. When your arm's getting pinned, your wrist will still be bent.
Yeah. And really, you can do, like, it's a good answer because really you can say, well, it would be neutral grip, but you could also just, like Travis loves to do chin-ups with a cocked wrist. And that way your arm back.
That's what it would be. It would be a static hold in like this until everything has negative failure. That's
right. Excellent question. You're still getting core. Like if you ever, well, you've done that. But when I do, I have a pegboard. When I do pegboard statics or just pegboard work, my core takes a beating. Like, so just that one exercise, you hit your lats, you hit your back, you hit your core, your traps, brachialis, bicep. If your wrist is cocked in, you're getting wrist flexion. That's a great answer. Yeah.
I've been asked that question before. I was asked that question on the panel. The WAL did a panel a few years ago when they had the big tournaments in Vegas. And I was on the panel, and that was the answer that I gave. And I can't remember the answers the other ones gave. It was actually myself, Todd Hutchings, Storm Chelino, and Joyce King on that panel.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. That's the event where I was sitting on the panel and my wife was sitting in the audience, and Travis walked in and walked straight up to my wife, sat down next to her and put his arm around her and then looked at me and smiled.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you know him, that's kind of cute, right? And that's gamesmanship, but you guys have a history, and there's when you have mutual respect with a guy and you kind of know where he's coming from, you can get away with shit like that all the time. I mean, if it was a stranger, it's different.
So if anyone remembers that, or they can dig up the old footage of it, if you see me kind of start laughing about halfway through for no reason, that's why.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Here's an interesting question. I like hypotheticals. It's a gateway into how someone thinks. How much money would it take for a promoter, I assume in the wall, to have you in an event? However, you will have to, in all matches, go in a full Kings like that, a full King move like Devin did. How much money would they have? And it would get 500 million views worldwide.
If for me just to go into the match, knowing I had to go.
It's a staged match. I don't know who your opponent, it wouldn't matter. But from the get-go, from the end, you will be basically your ass sitting down, arm completely extended. Well, even like Devin, where it's bent, chin, your eyes are at table level. Same type of Dave Chafee, Devin type deal for 3 rounds, a couple minutes each round, 500 million views. It's staged, so you know you can't get out of it. It's contracted. How much would you need to do that? What would be the dollar amount?
Yeah, it wouldn't be that much.
Jesus, you're better than me.
Somebody writes me a check for 10 grand. I'm there.
I'll say for fuck's sake, don't say $1,000. Like at least let's fucking buy a car or something out of it. Do something. Go on vacation with your wife. Something.
Man, I've arm wrestled for $1,000. I've arm wrestled for a couple $100. I recently was challenged to a super match by Mark Gay out of Alberta, and he offered to pay my gas and my hotel room for a couple nights to drive all the way up there and arm wrestle him. And there's no upside to that. I mean, I love arm wrestling, but I mean, Mark had we could have pulled at nationals, but he got knocked out of the tournament way before we had the opportunity to do that. I said that going in. I said, he better not be overlooking me or overlooking the Ontario guys to get to me, because they're going to be tough. And I think he lost to both Slater and Justin Major at that tournament.
Yeah, but he's a small heavyweight, isn't he? He's a 245, 250 guy. He's not that big.
He could have dropped less than 10 pounds and made the lower class and said he just didn't want to. But he was, I mean, I watched interestingly, the old wall tournament from the last time they did the big tournament, it's on. It's been shown on the Fight Network here in Canada, and Mark was in the background. And I thought, holy crap, he looks big, because he was 300 pounds back then.
Okay.
But yeah, in a couple of weeks, you'll see actually my heavyweight finals, where I actually was Wall took a gamble on me at one point, because I was in the final against Travis the previous year, and they sent an ESPN2 crew up here to Portage Prairie, Manitoba, and they followed me around the streets of Portage and had a glimpse into my life. And that show was never aired in Canada because ESPN2, and people will actually have the opportunity to see it in a couple of weeks, because I did actually make it back into the final with Travis.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So where will that be aired? Where can we watch it?
The Fabulous Fight Network, and it's
nice.
I believe they're showing it on Saturdays.
Yes, I got that channel. I'll check it out.
PVR it, people. Like, it's
fuck yeah.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that WAL's on TV in Canada all of a sudden. I figured somebody would pick it up eventually, because I mean, the production value they put into that was amazing. It's a shame that it didn't get shown outside the United States, but people are picking it up. So the Fight Network's all over Canada. Hopefully everyone has a watch. And
nice. That's huge. Can't wait for that. Yeah. Ray Code, who's one of our fans.
Big fan. Country Crush.
Yeah. Shout out to him. He had a question for me a couple weeks ago, and because we had Travis, I couldn't really address it last week. But I think his wife, or maybe, I don't know if they're having issues, his former wife, whatever. She had carpal tunnel issues, and he said if I had the advice on rehabbing that and stuff like that. Of course, I'm sure with her doctor or physiotherapist, they have better suggestions. But I had an issue with that with my right hand back in 2004 or 5 when I started arm wrestling. I was working part-time for a landscaper, and I was operating a trimmer, a weed whacker. So my right index finger was constantly on the trigger. That, with training, caused me to slightly flare up. And I found what I did was I just started, ideally when you talk rehab, you want to take a super lightweight, you want to do multiple repetitions. That flared it up. What I started doing is I started doing farmer's walks, like 20 pounds, 30 pounds, slowly work my way up. And just strengthening those tendons and making those tendons better conditioned. So I think that's one area where instead of doing like thousands of low intensity repetitions, I believe that can flare it up. I think you're better off doing very light compound type stuff when it comes to carpal tunnel stuff. But I'm not an expert. That's just my opinion. That's what got me through it. You see a lot of grip. She was doing grip work, and that's how it started. I think when you see a lot of grip work, and a lot of times they do where it's just 2 fingers, 3 fingers, stuff like that. When you start doing stuff like that, I think you're more apt to injuries when it comes to that.
Carpal tunnel is an overuse injury, so you have to be very careful about treating that. And one of the main issues with rehabbing carpal tunnel is there's low blood flow to those tendons and ligaments. And it's something that maybe statics would be a better option a little bit. And when you're doing the farmer's walk, that's kind of that's a tough one. And I would hesitate to even give any advice on it. No. It's kind of like training. Everyone's just a little bit different in how they respond, and follow the physiotherapists. But I can tell you that, arm wrestling training had been the furthest thing from my mind at one point when I had my, a bone in my left hand broken in an incident that happened in 2007, and I had to wear the brace that actually regained my range of motion and all that kind of stuff. And it was completely different to try to rehab that from anything I've done in the past. We should have a show where we just talk about the injuries and the things we've done to rehab them at some point, because I've got some interesting stories, and my chiropractor is actually probably responsible for me continuing to arm wrestle after I dislocated my wrist against Len Houghton in 2007.
Your chiropractor helped you with your wrist?
My chiropractor adjusts my wrist and my elbows, my shoulders.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow. Are you 40 yet? Just over 40?
I am 43.
You're 43. Okay. Yeah. So injury management starts coming into play big time. Yeah.
I'm just hitting my prime, man.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm saying I always claim you can do anything. Even you can still do it, but you have to be a lot more vigilant with rehab, diet, rest periods. You have to take all these things into account more so than when you're in your mid-20s. The shit you can do in your mid-20s and early 30s, it's when you get older, you almost feel like you felt like Superman back then. Anything's possible, but you have to be totally focused on the smallest of details. But it can totally be done.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So what else you got?
Just mulling over possible guests. We talked maybe we'd have a guest every 3-4 episodes, give or take. Paul Lynn's name came up. Paul Lynn's a super popular guy, super articulate, super knowledgeable. Yeah, so he'd be a great guest. Who else do we have? Any other names came up?
Yeah, I like Paul. I think Paul would be an awesome guest. And okay, Paul, if you're watching, you're officially invited. Reach out to one of us. But I'm not going to wait. I know you watch the show, but I'll send you a message when we're done here.
Yeah.
And we'll see what's up. There's a ton of guys that would be super entertaining. I think that every 3 or 4 episodes is a good plan. And, there's some guys that are not going to come on the show, and they have their reasons. But
that's fine. No, absolutely no problem. And then if any of the viewers out there have any ideas or anyone specifically they want to see, email us and let us know, and we'll try to reach out and get them. See if we can't spark some good cross debate and stuff like that. We'll see.
Yeah,
never hurts. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's a good topic for people if they want to see somebody come on, and I think we got a good thing going here. I will tell you that I just booked my event, and I think you'll appreciate this one for November the 2nd. So I threw my name in it. It's ESPY's Open Arm Wrestling Championship here in Portage-la Prairie. It's going to be one class, no weight class. It's going to be a double elimination tournament. One left arm class, one right arm class for men and women. Okay. Obviously separating men and women. And it's going to be seeded by weight all the way down. There's going to be one champion. We're going to take it down to the top 4. And then the slate will be wiped clean. There'll be 2 best-of-3 super matches to decide who goes into the final. The best of 5 to decide who wins the class. And then we're going to have one absolute champion for women and one absolute champion for men. And we're going to make the right and left guys go against each other for the finals. How are we going to do it? 2 right arm matches, 2 left arm matches, and a coin toss.
I like it. What's the prize money for first? Men's?
It's going to be the trophy. That's it. It's going to be the trophy. And I know some guys love awesome trophies. I've been holding on to an old set of bronze CAWA arms for a very long time. And there's going to be one traveling trophy that keeps coming back every year for the absolute champ.
Love it. Yeah, I just love the format. I did a tournament like that in 2009. Love the format, even though it doesn't always cater to the smaller guy. It can, maybe not so much in double elimination as quintuple or triple or quadruple, but love the format. We need to move towards less weight classes, not more. I love that.
Well, I'm going to keep I'm going to break up the line bracket a little bit less traditionally, so it maintains the integrity of the lighter guys not rotating up into the heavier guys, and it keeps it straight across. So hopefully level of fatigue will level that playing field a little bit by the time they get to the final. And, things don't always work out the way you think they're going to work out. We had that sword tournament where there's an overall, and sometimes the light guy wins.
Yeah, I did when I did my format in 2009, I paid down to top 10 or 15. I forget what it was. I had like a $7,000 budget. So, last place guy maybe got double his entry fee. But it was interesting because it was quintuple elimination, and every bracket, it would go by weight. Unless 2 guys pulled twice already, then you'd go to the next closest guy. That way, the same guys didn't pull more than 2 times, unless it was in the finals. And Sylvain Perrault won. Travis was in there. Top, Travis was second, I believe. And then you had a mix of Denny Dubray, NG Bergeron, Eric Roussin, finishing higher up to heavier counterparts. Louis Brassard was the first man out. We had 52. Louis Brassard had a war with Christian Gilbert. Done. Lost his first match, then subsequently lost all his other matches right out of the E bracket. So stamina plays a big part. Conditioning plays a big part, and of course, you want to be strong for your weight class. So I mean, shit. If let's say a guy like Michael Barrett's a good example because he's top of the food chain in his weight class in Canada, left hand anyway. He runs right through his class. You probably do the same in Canada. But let's say you get hung up and you have a 1 minute match or 2 1 minute matches, and then you meet in my system in like the late brackets. It's conceivable that if he's relatively fresh and you're down to like 40-50% and your hit is not what it was, there's always a chance, right? And it kind of like, for spectators, that's kind of cool because you'll see matchups that you won't really see otherwise. So I love that format. Even yours with double elimination, I freaking love that format. A lot of lighter guys might complain that it's not for them, but I disagree. Usually the lighter guys have a little bit more bigger gas tank, generally speaking.
And there's some killers in the light classes up here. Yeah. There's some killers. So the super heavyweight guys, I'm obviously not going to arm wrestle in it.
Well, that changes the landscape big time.
Right.
That changed it big time. That changes it big time. Because let's face it, if you were in it, you're favored to leave with your trophies that you came in with, right? So it's kind of it's I don't want to be that like, guy. And some cash in hand. So it's like, good move, Travis.
No, I'm not going to be that guy. So the event, I'm going to run the event, MC the event. I'm going to have my draw sheet people and my referees, and then we're gonna see what's up. CAWF rules.
Love it. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right, buddy. What else you got?
We've got some other questions. Are we at? How are we doing for time?
Oh, we got time. Next week is going to be dominated by. If we can push it till Friday.
Yeah, we'll have to.
We'll talk about WAL.
Yeah, we'll do a Friday and we'll recap WAL for sure. That's what we'll do. So I asked you about arm wrestling exercise. What would be your if you could only do one non-arm wrestling exercise? So basically, gym, powerlifting, bodybuilding. What would be your one go-to? And I assume it's a compound movement. If you could only do one.
Oh man. Now, are we considering that this is the only movement I can do other than?
No, can't do arm wrestling stuff. No, this is the only thing you can do, bar none, for 6 months. Let's say.
Then it would have to be standing clean and press.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I always said that people use the bench press as the benchmark to see how strong a man is. I think it's a clean and press or a standing like a standing military press, because your core has to come into play, stabilization has to come into play, balance, athleticism has to come into play. I mean, bench is just sheer pushing power. It's not necessarily indicative of functional strength. So that's a great answer. That's a great answer. Yeah.
Well, it kind of hits a little bit of everything, and you can make slight adjustments to it so that you're actually hitting little bits of body parts a little harder than So if you think about it, clean and press, you're hitting your whole posterior chain. You are engaging your core. You're engaging your arms. You can do less swing with it to get it the bar up to your chest, and then chest and shoulders will press it overhead for you. Yeah, and triceps, of course, but
yeah. You can snap it with your legs. You can just shove it up with your triceps, isolate your triceps if you want to hit your triceps. Yeah, there's lots of options. Yeah, good answer for sure. I was thinking maybe would he go with bench press? Would he go with deadlift? Most people go with either a deadlift, squat, or one of those three pillar compound power exercises. But yeah, I like your answer. It brings athleticism and functional strength into play a little bit more.
Yeah, and years ago, it was actually Devin that said this years ago. He compared arm wrestling to every other sport, and he said the one and I agreed with him when he said this. I thought this was incredibly insightful. The one that it is most like would be Olympic weightlifting, not powerlifting, but Olympic weightlifting, with the explosive 0 to max effort type of movement, because even in powerlifting, you don't have an explosion like that. It is more controlled, especially when you're at a dead stop at the bottom of a bench press.
Yeah. And that's why when you look at Todd Hutchins and the fact that he does speed days and explosive days, I think I've always said that people need to study his template a little bit more, or the template he's taken, because I think there's a lot of merit into that. Devin makes an excellent point. I remember him also mentioning that what demographic or what type of athlete would transition best to an arm wrestler, and I remember him saying a male model. He actually said that. He made that claim, and I think it had to do with I don't know, being lean. I don't know what it was, but
I would almost think a jiu-jitsu guy would be a good arm wrestler.
Jiu-jitsu, fucking gymnast, a gymnast. They're lean, light on lower body, heavy on the upper body. Usually good grip. Core, biceps have to be strong. An Olympic gymnast would make a great arm wrestler, I think. Rock climbing. I mean, Alan Fisher was a rock climber, I believe. In terms of finger, hand, wrist strength, they have to be lean. Rock climbing too, maybe.
You know who would make the best arm wrestler? An arm wrestler.
Well, yeah, but we're talking. Yeah. I mean, but if you had to pluck one, you have.
If I had to pluck one, it would be. I would think I would stick with the Olympic weightlifting.
Yeah, like you have these reality shows where they put a whole bunch of these people in nature, and you have like an army guy, and you have a Navy SEAL, and you have a fucking a cop or a SWAT, and to see which one has the best survival skills, or to see how their skills translate. So it's funny if arm wrestling was ever big enough where you can create this reality show where you take different athletes from their respective sports, and you give them each an arm wrestling coach, and you have like 6 months or 3 months, and you follow their training, and to see which one would win. Of course, they'd all have to be roughly the same. They'd all probably be around 5'10", 5'11", 200, something like that, or it doesn't matter. But it'd be interesting to see which one would have, which background would have the biggest carryover, and we can make arguments on a lot of them. But I think that would make for a hell of a reality show.
That'd be fun. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
If we had enough people that were in love with the sport of arm wrestling, that we could make something like that happen. I mean, man, I loved the old Game of Arms show.
Yeah, that was fun. It
warmed my heart every time I saw Tom Nelson cry.
Yeah, I thought it would have long-term value. I thought it was going to be successful for a lot longer than it did. I just don't love, if you're an arm wrestler, be an arm wrestler. If you're emotional, be emotional. I picked on Tom Nelson crying, but at least it was somewhat genuine. I don't like when arm wrestlers try to act. It's not your profession. It's not your trade. It's not your skill set. Don't try to act. Sometimes just being, you just get a guy who's naturally, like Herman Stevens would come down. Like if Wall put him on a card, he'd come down. He wouldn't flex. He wouldn't give a fuck. He would just be business only. And sometimes that's good enough. Like you have people watching that would side with that would support that would like that. So no matter what your persona is, man, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin, he didn't jump around. He just did flex and shit like that. He just didn't give a fuck. Just be yourself, whatever that is. But when I see arm wrestlers trying to act or something that's scripted or staged, man, that looks bad. Does it look bad to the non-arm wrestling demographic? I don't know. Maybe they don't know any different. But for me, I don't love seeing that. But Game of Arms, I agree. Game of Arms, I thought had a huge long-term entertainment value. Just who knows what happened. But it definitely, I watched every episode.
Yeah. I agree.